Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Now the Lead, the show review both new and older movies. This is Gino.
This is Robert.
This is Ricardo.
America.
And Gio.
And I just want to see how you guys are feeling. Hope everyone is safe. Hope everyone's been doing well. Not just us, but also our fans, our viewers, our listeners out there. Hope they're all being safe, being taken care of, both with the whole COVID and what's been going on. But just want to do a few check-ins while y'all. How you guys doing? How you guys been?
Holding up, I guess. I know we usually run through like what we've been watching, and for this week, I kind of wanted to highlight two documentaries that I saw that kind of relevant to what's going on right now. The first one is on Netflix. It's called LA 92. I don't know if you guys seen that. It's a documentary about the 1992 LA riots, the Rodney King stuff that went on. It's a really great documentary. If you haven't seen it, it's compiled together completely of archival footage. There are no talking heads. Like there's nobody saying like, well, this happened and all that. It's just raw footage. So it's like you're watching like a newscast almost, but like in its rawest form. And it's really, I think it like made me really like upset and angry, but I don't think that's a bad thing, because like we tend to, like, when these things happen, when things start kind of going back to normal, we tend to forget about them. So I think if you want to like keep it in your mind and keep it fresh, this is a great documentary to watch, because honestly, like if the footage had been in HD, like there'd be no difference to what's going on now.
Yeah.
The second one actually is in honor of Pride Month. It's called Scream Queen. And there's another subtitle, My Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's about a movie that I recommended that we talked about here on this show, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And it's more specifically about the actor that was in that movie. I think I mentioned when we did it that he was an openly gay actor, and the movie's known like as a gay movie. Well, actually, turns out that he wasn't he wasn't out. And that movie made it basically ruined his career, and it like documents like everything that he went through, and it's pretty tragic and heartbreaking, but ultimately like an uplifting documentary. It's really good. I highly recommend it. You can find it on Amazon. I think you could rent it, or Shudder if you have that streaming service.
Is that where you watched it?
I watched it on Shudder. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting that.
Yeah. It's $5 a month.
I know, because I was seeing, I think I told you guys, huh? I saw like all the little ads on Instagram.
Yeah.
It looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Anyways, that's what I watched. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys watched anything else?
I saw that. Did you guys watch the Dave Chappelle thing on YouTube?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet.
It's so good, right?
Yeah, that was really good.
Heard about it. It's been going around all over social media, all over even YouTube. Just like whenever I click on a video, like an ad pops up for it, I'm just like, oh shit, I'm gonna watch it. And I never get to. I've been meaning to today though. Just didn't have the time. But I will watch it.
It's only like 25 minutes or something. It's like really short. And I mean, more than a stand-up, it's like just him talking about what's going on, which is like, it's
I was gonna say, like, how is he gonna crack jokes on this?
Yeah, he doesn't really joke. It's more like
venting
in a way. Yeah, about what's going on. Yeah, but it's really powerful.
Yeah, it was. And I remember we were watching it with everybody, all my cousins, right? Thinking it was gonna be like this comedy thing.
Yeah.
No one said anything. It was just like this silence as we were watching it.
But it's weird because like you don't mind that it becomes that, you don't sit there and go like, hey, where are all the jokes? Because what he's saying is very, important,
No, it's just scary that like it really like makes you focus on like everything that's going on. Like it's today's like modern day lynching, and then just in the last couple of days, like 2 people have been found hung in trees. Like,
yeah,
dude, this is not okay.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy out there, man.
Yeah. So that's why, sorry to make it dark, but hope you guys are all like doing good out there.
Yeah.
So.
Is it I watched Just Mercy, since it got posted up it got posted up on a bunch of platforms for free for the month of June. That's a frustrating movie, because like you see them, because like the whole story is about Jamie Foxx's character was wrongfully accused of a crime, and he's in jail on death row, and he's like wrongfully accused of a crime. And then Michael B. Jordan's character is trying to open up the trial again to get him, and to get him an acquittal, and get him off of, out of jail because he didn't do it. And it's just frustrating how, like, because it's all takes place in like a small town, and it's just kind of how everything's, because it's so small, everything's kind of being able to be like swept under the rug and stuff. Like everybody just conspires together just to, to hide the truth and stuff, and it's just frustrating.
And this is based on a true story, right?
Yes, it's based on a true story. I recommend it. It's actually pretty good. It's really good. And like right now, I think it's still available for free. You can watch it on, I think it's on YouTube, Amazon Prime.
Like, a couple of platforms for free.
Yeah.
Through the end of July? June?
I thought it was just June, but they could do more. At least for June. So that's pretty much the only like movie I kind of saw outside of just binge watching other stuff. But
Gino, what do you watch?
So far, just been catching up on shows, whatever it's on Netflix. Or even I kind of been watched the whole first 3 Batman movies, but just trying to keep myself spirits up in a way,
The Dark Knight ones?
No, the original, like the 2 Tim Burton Batman Returns, and then Batman Forever.
The bad ones.
I haven't had the courage to go to Batman and Robin, so I just
wait. The Burton ones are good. What are you talking about?
No, they're not.
Dude,
they're better than the Schumacher ones.
I just
well,
watched.
that's not saying much.
That's weird because I just watched Batman and Robin like not too long.
Oh God,
it was so good, man.
Oh God, that's why I just didn't want to jump into that one yet. It was just like after Forever, I'm like, okay, I need a break.
It's weird because I still remember the lines from Batman and Robin for some reason. I was like,
they're so cheesy.
Because they're so like just like they're written by like a 5-year-old. Like you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Like no, it wasn't fucking meteor. It wasn't the Ice Age.
I was just thinking like in Batman Forever, when Tommy Lee Jones went full Toothpaste on that movie. He's like me and me. Like he just turned his body around. I'm just like, why? Just stop. We get it. You're Two-Face. Stop. But yeah, nothing. I haven't been watching a lot of stuff actually. Just those. Robert, what movies did we watch?
So this week there's been some new releases out on various streaming platforms. So we're kind of going back to the old format of a new movie and an older movie. This week we watched on Netflix The Five Bloods, DA, not the. Directed by Spike Lee and starring Delroy Lindo, Jonathan Majors, Clark Peters, Norm Lewis, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., and Black Panther guy, what's his name?
Chadwick Boseman.
There you go. It's about a group of soldiers, a group of veterans from the Vietnam War who returned to Vietnam years later to bring back their friend who died there. And also to bring back a bunch of gold that they buried there years ago. Let's dive into it. What did you guys think of The Five Bloods? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Yeah.
It's Spike Lee, right?
Yeah.
So, I like his movies, but I do feel like they're very much like his style, and it takes some getting used to. Like at the beginning, I wasn't too into. Like I would get into it, and then I would be pulled back out. Like I'm like, no, I'm not into this. But I mean, I don't know. It was a good story. It definitely had me like at the edge of my seat during a few moments, especially towards the end. And it's very relevant, honestly. Like talking about like race relations in the U.S. Like obviously nothing's changed, so that was like,
yeah.
All this that's going on is very relevant.
So
but I'm in.
Who wants to go next?
I could go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because everybody's just standing there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the same thing. Like she was saying, it's like a Spike Lee movie. There's some scenes though that I guess it's too. What is that word?
Gruesome.
Yeah, it's too gruesome.
Graphic.
Yeah, because
gory.
there's a lot of real footage, right, that they show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I guess they needed that. I don't know. I didn't get it. Like it was too much of that.
No,
When
I mean, I
it
think he
kinda,
definitely uses it to prove a point.
I know,
right?
Yeah.
but it's the same thing that happened with that last movie, the
Black Klansman.
Yeah, you know how at the end it shows real footage and it kind of
Mhm.
takes you away.
Mhm.
But the performances were pretty good, and the story is cool too. So it's a little long, but I'm
Yeah,
still
very
in.
long.
Yeah, because it's a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little long.
I'll go next. I like Spike Lee movies. I've always been a fan of his. I could see the style is a little bit jarring at times, you know, like a lot of like jump cuts and like stuff that some might consider amateur, but I think it's just his style, you know. But I'm in on this movie. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than what I thought. It's a war movie. Obviously, I love war movies, but it's great that it's kind of a different take on a war movie.
Yeah.
But speaking about you know, the story is great and whatever, and thing that you brought up, Ricardo, like how it's like kind of in your face and all that, and you mentioned America, that it's very relevant. Spike Lee has always been like talking about this stuff, you know, so it's kind of like the world is now catching up to him, you know, now seeing like and I said this about Black Klansman when a lot of people criticize like the ending, especially when it showed the footage, like the modern day footage of all the crazy Klan people, and said it was too in your face. I was like, well, you kind of need to be. I mean, we've seen it now. Like, you have to be that way now. You know, there's no more subtlety. Like, no, that's fucking out the window. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a problem. You know, it needs to be fucking shoved in your fucking face so you can see how bad it is, and it is uncomfortable. You know, it is.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done. I mean, we've seen it now. It has to be done.
I agree.
So.
Yeah.
So
yeah, next.
I guess I'll go
Yeah.
next.
Come on, guys.
I'll go next. It was a bit of a slow build. Like it was slow to kind of pick up because it just like, you know, it's just, the guys just show up to Vietnam and you see them partying and all this stuff, and then like it kind of takes a while for it to finally get to where like the whole treasure adventure that they're trying to go to. Also, like, I don't know, like the movie to me, it never hooked me for some reason. Either like I need to probably give it like another watch or whatever. So I'm actually gonna be an out on this one. But I do agree, it is intense. You do see a lot of pretty much the images that they use, like that he uses in it to kind of show like, hey, you know, America, and like everyone thinks, you know, America's great, but like, dude, this is what the country.
Yeah,
That
one's great. Yeah,
this one's great. But like, yeah, like all the stuff that they did to the people out there for almost no real reason to have been there, really. And then like, and one of the characters kind of is also, I forgot his name.
Paul?
The guy that was wearing the MAGA hat, Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, like he's also a result of whatever happened there because he suffers from massive PTSD.
Yeah,
and that's just totally screwed him since he left Vietnam the first time. So, but unfortunately, yeah, I think I'm not on this one.
Do you know?
Spike Lee. You know, I can't say this. I was never a fan of his work, but then again, I've only seen a couple. It's not like I've seen all of them. It's because he's all in your face, and this movie does all in your face a lot of times. But you know what, man? Like but it needs to be said in a way, you know, especially during a war that wasn't needed, a war that, you know, was just pointless too, you know. And but I liked it, man. I'm an in on this. I actually really enjoyed it. Um I have to say that it's very interesting. It's very interesting the way he directed it and some shots, and like, yeah, man, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't. But yeah, it was just, I liked it.
Yeah. Speaking to Gio's point, how it kind of like he felt like it was slow. I actually liked a lot of the build up because like it developed the characters. Like I felt like I got to know them, and I felt like the movie kind of like balanced like a bunch of different genres, because the times it was very like lighthearted, kind of comedy.
Like
It's
the whole
obviously
beginning.
it's obviously a war film, and it's like a drama and like a fucking adventure movie, like an Indiana Jones adventure movie. So like
Yeah.
it almost seamlessly goes through all those genres, and each one is very enjoyable. And the main sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say yes, I totally agree that it does like kind of blend genres. I don't completely agree with the seamlessly part because I think that's where it loses people. Kind of like where I was like, I felt like I was watching one movie and then another. I think that's also why Geo kind of dropped off because if you might not be used to that style. So it definitely takes some getting used to because you are learning all about the characters at first. It kind of seems like a buddy movie,
Yeah.
when you get all that character development, and then all of a sudden they're in a different position, like the aspect ratio even changes. Like, and the first time that happened, he uses that obviously to take us into the past when they're in the war. But the first time I was like, wait, like, was I not paying attention? Like, I swear I wasn't watching it like this, like earlier, so I think it's definitely a good technique, but I think maybe that's where it loses people too.
Yeah. I could kind of see that point, but I guess like the reason why I enjoyed it and I felt it was seamless is like I almost felt like I was watching different movies, and I like each one of those genres. So I was like, oh,
yeah,
I like this now, and I like this. And there's actually 3 aspect ratio changes. I don't know, like I didn't know this until I looked it up. Yeah, there's the widescreen one, like the one with the black bars. There's obviously when they shoot like 16mm, the old one.
Oh yeah.
And when they go into the jungle, it actually gets taller. Yeah, I didn't
really?
notice that one. Yeah, I did it, and I didn't notice it. I actually looked it up, the technical specs, and I was like, holy shit! And that's how another seamless thing there. But I really enjoyed like the war scenes, the 60mm footage, and I like the touch where like the actors like are not cast like younger.
Yeah.
They're it's very symbolic to like their PTSD and all that. So
yeah, and I mean, kind of going back to the point of like that's the aspect ratios, the changing of genres. I do think that at the end of it, it's kind of worth it because although it did feel like a long movie, I do kind of feel more attached to the characters, and I'm glad that we got to see them in all of those aspects because it made the movie feel like fuller. It made me more attached to them, definitely.
Just want to highlight the main. I guess I don't know if he's the lead because it's kind of like an ensemble. Delroy Lindo, the guy with the MAGA hat, the guy who's like really suffering. His performance is really, really good.
Yeah,
really great. And like another thing, like that speaks to like the changing of genres, like when they're on the boat, right? They're having a good time, like it feels like a lighthearted scene, and then he just like snaps,
Yeah,
and I don't know if you've ever like interacted with people who actually are suffering from PTSD, and it can be like that. Like one moment you're having like a good time, and then something happens, and like it becomes really, really heavy, So on both his performance and like the filmmaking, I think they captured it really well.
No, I agree. Like especially the scene where Paul, he's wandering in the jungle, and it's just a shot on him. He's breaking the fourth wall. I felt that scene was very powerful in a way because it felt like it was like a poetry, like like someone on stage doing poetry.
Yeah, his monologue.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. Like I was really like, dude, this is really good dialogue over here, and I agree, Robert. Like there's moments when he going back and forth, and one moment he's cool, and the next thing he just flips out and just starts cussing everyone out. And it's like it's pretty good, man. And then it goes back to you said PTSD or even the guilt he's been having over the years of like since the Vietnam War, and it's just it takes over you, and you just can't handle it in the real world because everyone's so calm and chill while you weren't calm and chill when you were dealing with all that shit. So I mean,
yeah, because like the majority of his PTSD is based off of, like you said, guilt. It kind of gets revealed, towards the end why he has that guilt. No, but yeah, like that whole walk through the jungle is pretty crazy.
Yeah, at that point,
like,
the movie got like super intense.
And
then even when he goes into the jungle, like screaming, like he's not even that far off yet, and he's already like in his head, like he's gone. Like, and it's also like heartbreaking to see like what happens, because I mean, he's kind of placed as the good guy and they're all the good guys and the bad guys in this movie, but especially him because of that, and that's when I think you're most torn about how you feel about his character, because he's the one saying like, I'm doing for myself, kind of like he's like separating from the brotherhood that they all had. And I don't know, I thought that was like a really good scene where he just decides to walk off into the jungle. Right.
Like leaving his military brothers and biological son behind.
Oh yeah.
Another scene that also like played with like he's both a hero and a villain in the same scene, but the minefield scene, like that scene was super intense, like probably one of the more intense scenes in the movie. He's a fucking hero, and then he goes like that to the villain. Like that's probably, I gotta say, that's probably like my favorite scene. That's when I was like if I had seen that scene in a theater, I would have been on the fucking edge of my seat. Like it kind of makes me miss that theater experience,
No, agreed. And I just really enjoyed that. It's Marvin Gaye's music was actually a lot of influence in this movie as well. Oh man, when the plane, what's going on, man? That actually hit home a lot more harder than I've been hearing it the first time. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If you guys listen to the song.
Yeah, I actually thought the same thing. Like, I've heard that song a million times, and I don't think I ever paid attention to the lyrics. And it was definitely like the way that they arranged it in this movie that was like, oh shit, like I get it.
Scene where it didn't have beat, huh? It was
just his vocals.
The vocals, huh? Yeah, that scene was cool.
I think this movie, from what we're all saying, like it has so many layers, right? So I think it will benefit from a second viewing, and maybe Gio, maybe change your mind. Like, I think there's enough here to watch it again and be entertained again, and find something that you didn't see.
Do you think Academy Awards are gonna?
I heard they're changing the rules this year, to adjust for everything that's happening. So, and like they're actually appointing like kind of like a committee to nominate 10 movies this year. So it'd be harder to overlook certain things, but definitely for sure best acting for the main guy. As far as everything else, I mean, there's nothing else out this year, right?
It's film right now, right?
I mean, so far, you got to put it at the top. I would.
Yeah, and honestly, like the archival footage and photos that they have, you know how you were saying that you thought it was too much? Like, I definitely agree that it was like really gruesome, but I think it really drove the point home. But at the end, when they stay on that picture of the kid, like that one was a little scary, because you know how they were, I think it's when Paul's going off on them, right? And it's like just like a frame of a photo, and it's like 2 or 3 different photos, and then they stay on the last one for a good like 5 seconds. I was like, but I mean, I think it definitely, even towards the beginning where they had like MLK stuff, like I don't know, I thought it was really good. That was a really good use of,
because they even have that scene, you know how like they have a picture of the guy getting shot in the head, but they actually show it. I was like, whoa, this is so big.
But like it's interesting because like Spike, they made this movie before pandemic, before all of this stuff that's going on. So like a lot of those things were to like show you like, look, these soldiers specifically, like the black soldiers that fought in Vietnam, were fighting 2 wars. Like they fought one over there, and then they had to fight one, and they're still fighting one right now, right? So like that's the point, and it just so happens that because of what was going on, that made it even more powerful to see all those images.
I think that's why, like, it was, I don't know, it's such a weird like time to have watched this, for it to have come out, right? Like obviously it's like a very good time for it to come out, but I mean, just watching it and feeling like what's going on, it's just like it feels weird.
Like it kind of comes around, like I kind of got the whole message of like the based off of like the events that happened at the end of the movie, like both wars never ended. The racial war never ended, and then the Vietnam War never ended.
Hey, you know what's another cool thing about the movie? They had the Warriors thing where that lady's in the the radio or something.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I was gonna bring that up, but I
His
want
use of the radio again to inform.
Yeah.
That's another influence. That's why when we were talking about influences, I thought of that too, but I just didn't know how to jump into that. You know,
There were, it's funny. There were several, like obviously Apocalypse Now, you know, and I'm sure there's a lot more too that were in there.
Rewatch it, huh? I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, it's like I bet you can watch it with like a guide, you know, to everything that's in there.
All the Easter eggs and stuff.
So we have 4 ins and 1 out. Damn you, Gio. You need to go back and watch it and like it.
I think overall, I think it's an excellent film. Not just because it's on Netflix, you know. I think it's well worth your time, and had it come out in theaters, it would have been a great watch in theaters. So highly recommended. Except for Gio.
That sucks. Maybe they take it out in theaters one day.
That'd be fun.
No, I think this is always meant to be a Netflix movie.
Oh,
Yeah. But it might get like the Roma treatment.
Yeah.
Anyway, what other movie did we watch this week? Our recommendation?
My Neighbor Totoro.
Totoro.
Yeah, it comes from Instagram. Eric Carrillo, my good friend Eric Carrillo. My Neighbor Totoro, like Gino said, directed by the great Miyazaki. It's a Studio Ghibli movie. It's about a family that moves like into like the forest, I think, and their house is kind of haunted. And it's about like these 2 little girls who just like to run around and use their imagination a lot. I had seen this movie before. I love this movie. Seeing it now, actually, it hit me very different. But I guess we should open it up to the people who hadn't seen it. I don't know who that was here.
That was me. I've never never seen any Studio Ghibli. I don't know how to say their
Ghibli.
I never ever saw their movies. I've been into anime since high school, junior high. Studio Ghibli was never one of them. I know there was so much references on other animes, on other even like fan bases, man. Like the infamous either Totoro or the Cat Bus. I've seen it everywhere. To me, I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, Cat Bus, whatever, move on my life. When I saw this movie, I was like, oh wow, now I know why. Animation's beautiful. That's all I gotta say. That shit's fucking nice. I mean, I'm super in. As soon as like I saw the animation of the details, the way they got the details on the movement, everything was just to me it was spot on, perfect anime. That to me is like detail to the T. But yeah, I'm super in on it.
Yeah, you liked it? Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Who else hadn't seen it? You want to go, Ricardo? Go, bro.
Yeah, the same thing. The animation is like the best part. I'm in on this one too. Yeah, the animation. They don't make movies like this that much anymore, right? We have
hand drawn.
Yeah, hand drawn. Like everybody's lazy or something, right? They don't...
And everything moved to digital.
Yeah, and they should bring more movies like that again, because it looks better than the animes, right? You know how the anime cartoons, it looks better than that. And this was in the 80s, right? This was like 88.
Yeah. 88.
Oh, I thought it was 88.
Yeah. Oh. So that's real shit. What the fuck? Yeah, but I'm in on this one.
Cool. Next.
I've seen it. Have you seen it, Gio?
Yeah, I'd seen it before.
Right.
Oh, okay. I'll go. I've seen this in high school a couple times, and I always thought it was like really cute. But yeah, kind of. I don't know how you thought it was different this time, Robert, but I also saw it like it made me kind of sad. And I'm really, I mean, I don't want to say anything right now, but I'm kind of thinking like, was she dead the whole time? The little girl?
No.
I don't know. I kind of got the impression that she was dead.
Why?
Because she fell down the tree. And the little guy like had her. Right? And then he, at the end, I felt like, oh, I don't know, whatever. I'll talk about this later because first I'll give you reviews. But I'm in. I love
it. Gio?
Yeah, I'm in as well.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like, even though it's called, My Neighbor Totoro, the movie's really just about, the relationship of the two little girls trying to survive, while their mom is sick in the hospital. you know, and them trying to, you know, keep each other, you know, the spirits up.
The first time I saw it, I saw it, God, like almost more than 10 years ago. When I started getting, it's funny, I'm not like an anime fan, like at all, but I love the Studio Ghibli movies. And I thought it was fun. I love the animation. I love that it was like a small, like it was a small, like intimate story. But watching it this time, you know, it just hit me, like the meaning of it hit me so much more. You know, it's about, you know, like Totoro represents like their childlike innocence, you know, and it encourages kids to like use their imagination and not turn into like cynical adults too fast, you know. To always keep like a positive outlook on life. And it just like I was fucking bawling like when at the end of the movie. I was like, oh my god, this is such a beautiful message to send to kids, you know. And there's no fucking evil dragon or evil octopus or anything, you know. And to tell a story like that, it's just it's fucking incredible, man.
Hmm.
For sure.
That's so funny. You were like, "Oh, I see all the positivity in the world."
Yeah,
Dead?
yeah.
Okay, let me explain. I think I already had this thought the first couple times that I watched it. I was like, this little girl, like, there's no way that she's not getting into trouble. Like, because the dad's not watching her until the old lady starts watching her, you know? So, and she runs off into the forest. The sister finds her asleep. Or before that, even like she climbs on Totoro and like she falls asleep with him. The sister finds her there and has to like wake her up, like all hardcore. And then I don't know, they're all sad because of the mom or whatever. And then he takes them to her. So you find the little girl's chancla, and then the other sister goes on like a giant journey to find her. I was like, did she also die? Now they're looking at their mom. Like, there's the corn. I don't know.
I think
like seeing it all dark.
Yeah, the way I saw, like, the Totoro was there to protect them. Let's protect her, like, you know, because every time something scary happens, like when, like, an amazing scenes when they're waiting for the bus, right? And it's so simple. It's two little girls waiting for a bus, but you know that's a scary scenario, right? Especially like two children, basically. And it starts like the rain, like starts to get darker and it starts to rain more, and you start to worry for them, right? And then here comes their protector, right? To make light of everything, to make the rain seem fun, you know, to make the dark, you know, not so scary. And every time they face something like that, Totoro's always there to protect them, right? When they get the letter saying like that their mom's sick, the older girl starts getting angry at the younger one, right? She starts behaving more like an adult, right? Which makes her little sister runs away. And then Totoro's there to save the day and obviously save their childhood, basically. Basically, don't grow up so fast, you know. Use your imagination. Don't be afraid to use your imagination. Like, the stakes are so high. Like, these girls are forced to, you know, face reality at an early age when their mom, I think it's implied that she has tuberculosis, you know. Yeah. And one of them like gets lost and you actually think she might be dead. Like, those are stakes that you would never find in a fucking Disney movie, right? Not to say there's anything wrong with Disney movies and all that, but just think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you actually thought she was dead.
Yeah, that's really true. Bad. And then the dad, like, they only have like one caretaker, right? And then the caretaker's like gone, like missing in that bus stop scene, which is like pretty tense. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's why I don't know why, man. It's just and I don't know if I could go back and watch it again because it just makes you too emotional.
I'd go back and watch again. To be honest, I originally watched this in Japanese, and I'm currently watching the English version. And I still think the Japanese is better than the English dub, even though I know Dakota Fanning and her sister Elle Fanning both played the sisters in the Americanized version.
Really?
Yeah, it's always better to obviously watch it in its native language, but actually I watched the English one first, English stuff, and then I watched the Japanese one. I mean, they're both great. I would recommend to watch the Japanese dub or the Japanese version.
That's
and then if you're curious, watch the American version.
What's the difference?
I mean,
one's in English.
Oh, just I thought like
the dub or sub.
Different movie.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Well, you get the original,
but I mean, it's obviously like different interpretations of like the characters and the way they like express their emotions, right?
Yeah.
And is this like the guy's best movie, or which one's the best one?
It's my personal favorite. But there's a lot of other good ones. Like Castle in the Sky is good. Spirited Away is great. Ponyo's great.
I want a huge fan of Ponyo.
No, I loved it.
It
I've
was
never
just
seen
fine.
Ponyo.
Yeah. Is that it? I mean, we all loved it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweeps.
Sweet.
Go watch My Neighbor Totoro.
I hope
Check out
this
all the
man
other
doesn't get
studio
mad at us
Ghibli
and
ones.
not threatened about not following us anymore after this.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy.
So what's next, guys? What are we watching next week?
Next week we'll be doing another new movie, which is The King of Staten Island, starring Pete Davidson, the guy I don't like from Saturday Night Live, and directed by Judd Apatow. And our user pick is Ricardo America. You want to tell us about it?
Born in East LA.
Yeah, Born in East LA, recommended by Simon32369.
Simon.
Please don't forget to follow us on Instagram in Not Delete Reviews one word, and Twitter at In Not Delete. And yeah, hopefully we'll get to these movies soon as we can. And be safe, be prideful.
Cool.
This Pride Month, yes.
Shout out to Pride Month.